final guest this month on the Inside Track is Glenn Tilbrook, the lead singer and guitarist of Squeeze. Glenn's music and Chris Difford's lyrics have given Squeeze one of the most exciting songwriting teams in years. Sometimes people are often surprised to see your stage performances are quite lively and energetic, and rock and roll shows. You know, that people might not expect that if they haven't seen you before.
Well, I don't think that there's any contradiction between the way we record and the way we play live. It's just that I think that on record you have perhaps a chance to explore a lot of different areas in a way that's a lot more difficult in a concert situation. I mean, I personally get bored if I see acts for longer than, say, an hour and a half's about my maximum attention level, and after that, no matter how good anyone is, I get bored with it. So we like to keep shows, it's not exactly 45-minute shows, but we're doing about an hour and a quarter, hour and a half maximum. And I think a show is much more exciting that way. So, bearing in mind that we're playing for that length of time, I think we do concentrate more on an up-tempo sort of set.
Why have you had this turnover of keyboard players?
Well, I could say we're extremely smelly people, but I don't know, actually. It's something, I think, Jules and Paul had their own reasons for leaving. With Jules, he wanted his own career, and with Paul, I think he wanted his own career, plus he didn't feel part of the band. I think he always felt slightly an outsider. Plus, another thing with Paul is that I think he is what you might call a bit of a drifter. He likes to, I think, be fairly much his own man.
Was it a bit odd to have him singing the song that was really sort of your biggest hit in America so far, and then to have him leave?
No, that's not odd. It's odd that he's still doing it live. I think that's funny.
He's doing it live? With whom?
With Nick Lowe's band.
Well, what are you going to do about that on your tour, that song?
No, it's quite simple. I sing it.
Oh, good. You're quite young. How old are you?
24.
And you've written, I think you told me once with Chris, 1,000 songs. Is that true?
Well, I think it's approaching 1,000 now. We wrote about another 40 for this album.
Don't you think of that as being rather prolific?
I think of it as hard work. The point about writing such a lot of songs is that you don't get all of them right, and sometimes you'll finish a song and you know that, the idea of it's good, but somehow the execution of it hasn't been quite right.
Now, you met Chris through an ad.
Mm.
How much other stuff had you tried to do before that?
Let's see, I was 14, I think, when I met Chris. And I was still at school and had really been just playing on my own and writing a few songs on my own. In fact, the first song I ever wrote, I always think this is quite interesting. The very first song I ever wrote, which was when I was about 10 or 11, I actually dreamt the whole tune to it. I woke up in the morning and remembered this tune quite vividly, and I can still remember the tune today. And I've never heard it anywhere else, and it's definitely my own tune, and it's actually still quite good as well, which surprises me. But I have been writing on my own, written a few songs. But when I met Chris, there were certain aspects of his songwriting that I thought were really great. Yeah. His lyrics knocked me over sideways, particularly. I think Chris is quite impressed by my knowledge of chords and that sort of stuff. So it's fairly natural that we started writing together after. I think we wrote together after about 6 months.
You've heard that the comparisons with sort of this Lennon and McCartney of the 80s business, you and Chris. Do you hear those things in your songs? The Beatles comparisons?
Not really, no. I think what people are getting at when they make that comparison is the sort of diversity of material that we approach. At least that's the only thing I can think of that people mean.
You don't feel then that you have a sound? You feel that your music is varied to the degree that you can't be pinpointed in any kind of category?
No, I do. I think we have a sound. I think you can always identify a Squeeze record. I think all our tracks sound like Squeeze, but there's a diversity of material and approach within that framework. And somehow we've established our own sound and made our own frame.
Has everything that's happened with Squeeze so far been sort of according to some kind of internal plan on your part?
No, not at all. I don't think we've had any plan at any time.
Really?
Well, no, not besides a basic one of wanting to. It's like the reason why I got in a band and why I wanted to learn to play guitar and sing and write was to enjoy myself, and to be happy in what I'm doing. And that sounds extremely like dime store philosophy or whatever, but that's what keeps me interested. We haven't got any sort of grand career plans, you know. First time we came over, we didn't plan to end up at Madison Square Gardens, and that wasn't my goal. I mean, my goal is to feel like I'm getting better at what I'm doing and to continue that sort of trend.
On this record, did you experiment a lot more musically? I mean, did you try consciously to do a lot of different things, or did it just sort of come out that way? Because it sounds like it's a very ambitious record.
Well, no, it's not. It's not worked at to sound like that. It's down to the old democracy from the 40 songs that we had. The band chose, which I think we learnt about 25 of them, and ended up recording 18 and mixing 18. So out of that, it's not as if we start off with 12 songs and have a definite idea of what we're going to end up with. It's very much taken individually, song by song. And in doing that, I don't think we'd like to limit ourselves to any style. You know, or say we couldn't possibly do this or that because it's in a certain style. We just take it as it comes. And if it feels good to the band, then that's a good reason to do it.